All of our homes, and especially our spare rooms, have become workhorses of late. They're home offices, they're classrooms for the kids, and they're even hotels for the in-laws. Not to mention a dumping ground. So I'm going to give this room a much needed new identity with a makeover that is both flexible and functional. The owner here needs two distinct functions for this space. The first as a home office, so it needs to be appropriate for client meetings, and also a pretty backdrop for video calls. Secondly, it needs to convert back into a personal space. So it needs to be both professional, but also inviting enough for a family area. And I think we'll start by freshening up the whole room with some paint and colour. I bet if I asked you to choose the perfect colour for your walls, you'd say, yikes, because with so many colours to choose from, that can be a pretty daunting task, which is why it pays to use a pre-tinted range like this, which has been specially curated to work together perfectly. So for the walls in the room, I'm after a warm neutral, something like, I reckon that one, volcanic ash, looks pretty good. And then you'll remember that beautiful original fireplace. Well, I want something to highlight that. So I think Riverstone. So volcanic ash and Riverstone, I know are going to work perfectly together. That's one, and volcanic ash. Just got to get them back to the room now. Take a minute, breathe. Now, I know I said I was going to use colour in here, but actually I'm starting with white, and the reason for that is so that we can get as much light in here as possible. So I'm using a ceiling white, and I'm going to bring that down about 600 mil from the top of the wall, and that will create the effect of a picture rail whilst also bouncing lots of light around the room. To make sure we get a really crisp line where the two colours meet, I've extended the white down further than it needs to go, and then I'm just going to apply the masking tape on the top of our line so that then when we paint up, we can paint over here and we'll get a really perfect line there. This colour has a really lovely warmth to it, which will be perfect for our professional look, but also has a really comfortable feel, so for the family room, it'll be great. And the coverage is so good, it is covering the lilac as well as the white. Look at that. And now we all can see, then it's not a dream to wake up in the light. This is the first time we've seen these colours on the wall next to each other, and you can really see how well they complement each other. The dark colour has really brought out the detail in the chimney breast and fireplace as well. I want to move the desk from where it was in the corner over here, but there are no PowerPoints there, and the homeowner will need some for computers and other appliances. That can get very expensive very quickly if we were to put a new PowerPoint in. So instead, I've come up with this solution, which is to run an extension lead from the other side of the room. But instead of running it along the floor, which could be a trip hazard, I'm running it around the architrave here, and I'm just using some cable clips, and over the top, I'm using a timber beading, which will conceal it really nicely. It's so hard, watch you move. You're so cool, girl. This carpet has definitely seen better days, so I'm going to replace it with this laminate flooring that actually comes in a chevron pattern, and that harks back to a traditional timber floor, and it will really elevate this room and give it a contemporary feel as well. So I'm going to get rid of this carpet. We've given this tired old spare room a brand new identity as a home office, which will be perfect for Zoom calls and client meetings, whilst also being warm and inviting. The wall colour has been a huge part of the transformation. The floor looks stunning, and now I'm going to create a custom artwork for above the fireplace. I'm using this beautiful fabric which has been screen printed with Australian native flowers on it as the artwork, and this beading is going to be the frame. And the first thing I'm going to do is just cut a mitered edge so that it gives it a little bit more detail. The idea with this is that you sandwich the two flat sides together at the top and the bottom of the fabric. So altogether you'll need 4 pieces, and I'm going to use a brown varnish on mine to tie in the desk in the room. Now, I'm using magnetic tape to stick the 2 pieces together, and the beauty of this is that if you're using an original artwork or you have a vintage poster that you don't want to damage, you don't have to put any pins through it. It's also great because you can easily swap out the artwork if you want to change your decor. I'm just attaching some eyelet hooks and some dark chain which will disappear into the wall behind it so that we can attach it to the wall. All that's left to do is just to click it in place like so. And the thing I love about this project is that it's so much cheaper than going to a professional framer. You get such a good result, and all for about $20. Perfect. When you're furnishing a room, it's a really good idea to think about the longevity and use of the piece. These are not only really striking to look at, but they're also really practical. They're going to be great for one-on-one meetings in here, but also when this room converts back into a living space, they're going to be really comfortable and practical for that too. Working out the floor plan in this room has been a little bit tricky because there are actually 3 doors. And I've left this space deliberately open so that there's a nice traffic flow through, and pop the desk over here, which works much better. And by putting that extension lead around this door, we now are able to use all the appliances over here. It's really nice to use pieces that tell a story and have some history about them. This beautiful painted box was here before, and we're going to pop it on here. And doesn't it look gorgeous? Lighting is a really important element when you're designing because it can completely change the feel of a room. And you really want to layer it because that's the way you get the best effect. You start with ambient lighting, which is the overall illumination in the room, and it should be fairly even and consistent. And then you can use task lighting for specific things like reading or writing. So here we've got this beautiful lamp, and we've also got one over at the desk. Our simple monochromatic colour scheme with a few pops of yellow is the perfect chic backdrop for video calls. And the mirror is great because it means you're not staring at a blank wall. Instead, you get the reflection of the gorgeous new decor behind you and also the benefit of the window, which means you feel like you're outside. Remember, the brief for this room was to give it personality, whilst also retaining a professional workspace with the ability to change it back into a family room again. And we've achieved all this through a really sophisticated yet inviting colour scheme.